This is what the pink blanket looks like when you're finished. Here's a close-up of the border on that blanket. And that is with the excess pink yarn that I had after making my beautiful turtle blanket where I only needed a little bit of the pink for the cheek. Granimals inexpensive receiving blanket, baby receiving blanket. This one measures 30 by 40 inches and is 100% polyester. It has a cute monkey on it, but if you are going to be using the receiving blanket, you're going to need your F or 4mm crochet hook. The reason that I like this blanket is because it already has the thread around the border. And this thread around the border, my crochet hook will fit right in there to make a crochet border on this blanket. If you don't have this, you can use your yarn to make an embroidery stitch. I'm going to show you how to do that in case you just want to make an embroidery stitch around your blanket. To make an embroidery stitch, you're going to want to put the color yarn, whatever color yarn that you're using, onto your tapestry needle, and then you just start in the corner of whatever blanket that you're using for your project. You're going to come up from the bottom along the edge of the blanket. You're just going to come up and make sure you leave enough yarn on the other side for tying a knot and burying your loose yarn end. Then you just take your yarn and hold it off to the side at an angle, so about a 45-degree angle. Then you're going to come up, you're actually going to go down, into the blanket, and then take about 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters stitch with your tapestry needle, and you're coming inside the loop you're creating with your yarn. So you just come up and it creates an embroidery stitch. Now you want to hold the yarn off at 45 degrees again, and you want to make sure you don't go inside the loop because you're just going to undo your embroidery stitch. You want to make sure you're outside of the loop with your tapestry needle, and you're going to do the same thing, about 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters stitch. And that's all you do. You do that all the way around the border of your blanket. So you can do that, or if your blanket already has the stitch there, that makes it even easier. Now, after you're finished, whether you have your embroidery stitch or the stitch that was already there from the manufacturer, you're just going to take your crochet hook, go into the stitch, you're going to bring up a loop with your yarn. I'm using my dark teal color for the border of my baby blanket. So whatever yarn color that you're using for the border of your blanket is the one that you want to use on if you're putting the receiving blanket in the center. Then you're just going to yarn over and go through that loop for a chain and then tie a knot. So you just take the loose yarn end and your yarn and just tie a knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 3. And you're going to go make 1 double crochet. That counts, that first chain of 3 counts as your first double crochet. Now you're going to make a double crochet into the next space or next stitch on the receiving blanket. So you're just going to make 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around the blanket. You're going behind your loose yarn end to bury it. So I'm just going to show you one more. You can see how I'm creating this nice crochet border around the receiving blanket. And some people just like making a nice crochet border around the receiving blanket, and that's all they do. Because you can put a pretty shell around this blanket. And I've seen some really beautiful blankets being made from just the receiving blanket, an inexpensive receiving blanket. But for me, I'm going to use it in my crochet rug to give it a little bit extra warmth and extra sturdiness for the rug. But for you could also use what I'm making as a blanket too. So I'll show you how it ends up and the uses that you can have for it when you're done. So go ahead, finish making one double crochet in every stitch all the way around, and then come back and I'll show you how to join the last stitch. So here you can see how I finished one side, and it just adds some beauty to a plain, inexpensive receiving blanket. So here, I just wanted to make sure that I showed you that when you reach a corner, you want to make sure that your crochet work doesn't curl up on the end and that it stays flat when you lay it down. And to do that, you just need to make 2 double crochet in the same stitch. So in the same stitch, you just make 2 stitches or 2 double crochet stitches in the same stitch around the corner. And then that just helps it to lay flat and it won't bunch up on you. And then once you get around the corner, then you can resume the 1 double crochet in every stitch. So one more should do it for me. One more stitch of 2 double crochet. So I actually made 4 stitches around the corner with 2 double crochet stitches in them. You can see how it keeps that corner flat. It doesn't curl up on you when you add the stitches there. Then you just resume the 1 double crochet in every stitch. So each corner you would do that just to help it lay flat. This came out so well that I wanted to show how to put the crochet border onto your fleece blanket. So when you reach the end, after making 1 double crochet in every stitch, just like I showed you with the blue blanket, then, let me bring it around. I just finished my last stitch around the border of the blanket. Then you're just going to make a slip stitch into that top stitch of that first chain 3 you made. So here's the first stitch, the second, and then the top stitch. Actually 1, 2, 3. So the top stitch of that first chain 3, the initial chain 3 that you made. Then you're going to yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to make a half shell in this first, actually we'll make a we'll make a half shell in this first stitch. So when we come back around the other side, we'll complete the half shell. So we're going to go ahead and make a half double crochet in the same stitch. Then you're going to make a single crochet. Oop, I'm in the next stitch, so make sure that you're in the same stitch and not in the next stitch over. So I'm going to make a half double crochet. I'm going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 3 loops for a half double crochet. Then I'm going to make a single crochet in the same stitch. Then you just slip stitch into the next stitch over, So you go into the next stitch over, yarn over, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. So you just finished a half shell, and then we'll complete that shell when we come back around. Now you're going to skip, you're actually going to slip stitch into the next stitch over, and slip stitch into the next stitch over, and then make a single crochet into the third stitch. Then make a half double crochet, then you're going to make 3 double crochets in the same stitch. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, 2 loops remaining, yarn over and go through 2 for a double crochet. I'm going to make 2 more double crochet in the same stitch for a total of 3 double crochet in the same stitch. Then you're going to make a half double crochet, then a single crochet. And that's what your full shell will look like. Then you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch over. You're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. And then single crochet into the third stitch and repeat. And it's as simple as that. When you get to the end, come back though, because I'm going to show you how to turn the corner. But that's how you're going to make your shells along the side of your blanket. I'm going to make one more with you. And this is how the shells look along the outside of the blanket. So then slip stitch into the next stitch, then slip stitch into the next 2 stitches, and then single crochet into the third stitch, and then you're going to repeat the shells all along the side and then come back. This is how my work looks so far. You can see how it makes a nice flat shell around your fleece baby blanket. Now that you've reached a corner, I just finished my last shell and then slip stitched into the next stitch before I reached the corner. Now the only difference that you're going to have on the corner is you're going to single crochet. First you're going to slip stitch into 1 stitch instead of 2, and then single crochet into the next stitch, and then create your shell. And you're going to do this twice. I'm just going to work it with you around the corner. So I finished my shell. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Then I'm going to slip stitch into 1 stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch. And then that will make it around the corner. And then you just repeat. I'll work one more to show you how it looks around the corner. So I finished my shell. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And now, since I'm working along the top now and past the corner, then I'm going to single crochet into, I'm going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. Remember, around the corner you just slip stitched into 1. Now you're back to slip stitching into 2 stitches and then starting your shell. So single crochet and then completing your shell. So go ahead, finish all the way back to the beginning and then come back and I'll show you how to join. Now I'm back to where I started. I just finished my last shell and then made my slip stitch. Now I'm going to single crochet into the same stitch as my initial half shell. So I'm going to make a single crochet. Then I'm going to make a half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. Then you're going to make 2 double crochet in the same stitch. Then you're going to make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 3 that you made. So you're going to go into that top stitch and then you're just going to make a slip stitch. So you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook, and you can see how you completed your full shell. Then you just yarn over and bring enough yarn through to finish off and bury your loose yarn ends. And I'm going to show you how to bury your loose yarn ends. Now you just take your tapestry needle and put any loose yarn ends that you have onto your tapestry needle, and then you're just going to weave it through your work. And I like to go several different directions to make sure that it's nice and buried. And then once you're satisfied with how you've buried the loose yarn end, then you're just going to take and cut it. So go ahead, bury any loose yarn ends that you have, and then come back. You can see how the receiving blanket fits nicely along the sides. It just needs a little bit of an extension, about 6 inches on each end, to reach the ends of the rug or blanket that you're making. I really like how this turned out with the dark teal color yarn and this pastel blue. It really makes a beautiful border for this blanket. This is how my work looks so far all around the blanket. And then when you reach the beginning, we're going to make a slip stitch. So here you can see this is our initial chain 3. You have 1 stitch, 2, and 3. You want to make a slip stitch into that top stitch of the initial chain 3 that you made. So you just take your crochet hook, you go into that top stitch of the first chain 3 that you made. Then you yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Now on the ends, I showed you that we need an additional 6 inches of this yarn on the ends only, not on the sides. So to make the additional 6 inches, what you're going to do is make sure that you're working along the top of the blanket, and then you're going to finish off and work on the bottom side of the blanket. But what you're going to do is, after you finish joining, you're going to chain 3. That's going to count as your first double crochet for your initial row on the top of the blanket or the bottom. Then you're going to make a double crochet in each stitch across. And remember, you're not doing this on the sides of the blanket, only on the top and the bottom. When you reach the end, come back and I'll show you how to move up to the next row. So I'm actually working the bottom of my blanket and I've reached the end. Here, you can see my cute little monkey, but I'm at the bottom of the blanket and I'm only working on the bottom, so I'm not going up the sides. I'm on my second row at the bottom of the blanket. So now I'm going to make my third row at the bottom of the blanket, and to do that, you're going to make it the same way that you've done before for the next row with double crochet. You're going to chain 3, and you're going to go into the next stitch. So not at the base of the chain 3, you're going to go into the next stitch over and make your double crochet. And then you're just going to keep making 1 double crochet in every stitch. And when you come back, actually go ahead and finish chain 3, turn your work and make another double crochet in every stitch across. When you come back, I'll show you how many rows I made to reach 6 inches for the bottom of my blanket. So this is how my work looks so far. You're going to leave the sides of the blanket unworked, and you're just going to add on the top and the bottom the rows of double crochet. And I just finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows of 1 double crochet in every stitch, which measures about 6 inches along the bottom. Then when you're finished, you just take and finish off. You just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring enough yarn through to bury into your work, and you just cut it. Then you finish the one side. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the top of the blanket. So now I'm at the top of the blanket, and I'm going to join my yarn. Make sure you leave enough of a loose yarn end for burying. Then you just take and make a chain. Then you're going to tie a knot. Then you're going to chain 3. You can take your loose yarn in and bury it as you work. And you're going to repeat what you did on the other side. Just 1 double crochet in every stitch. When you reach the end, you're going to chain 3, turn your work, and make 1 double crochet in every stitch until you've completed 12 rows, just like you did for the bottom of the blanket. You're going to do the exact same thing for the top of the blanket, and leave the sides the way they are, the sides of the blanket. And then come back. Again, the second piece is optional, but if you are using that second piece, then you're going to place that now and make sure that the wrong side is facing up. I have the right side facing down. So this is the wrong side of the monkey, and here is the right side of the monkey. So the right side is down.